Oh,
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Funny Review Show. I'm your host, Chris, and the only person here today. Because, if you haven't noticed by the title, we are going to be talking about the Conjuring series. Now, this is going to be coming out exactly 2 days before the Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It releases. So basically we're going to talk about the entire series minus the last video, and then next week my hope is to get out an episode where I go in depth about the newest movie, which will have spoilers. This episode right here will also have spoilers of all the older ones. So if you have not watched them and you've been waiting, I strongly suggest you go do so before watching this. But if you don't care about spoilers and you want to watch this anyway, or you don't care at all and you just want to watch the support, that's fine too. But anyways, we're going to talk about the Conjuring series. Now I want to say one thing before I get started. I've made it pretty known across the channel that I like ghosts and paranormal and stuff like that. It's not for everybody, hence the only reason why I'm the only one here. But that being said, I don't want to sit here and have to keep saying the same thing over again, depending on what you believe, depending on what you believe. It's going to get old. So I'm going to say it one time here, and then as you watch, you are more than free to go do any of your own research. One time here. Depending on what you believe, these movies are based on true stories. Once again, depending on what you believe. If you're into the paranormal universe and you don't know who Lorraine and Ed Warren are, I'm shocked, honestly. Go check them out. But they're very big in the paranormal universe. These are supposed to be based on their cases. I think the only two that aren't... Well, actually, I think it's actually only one is The Nun is not actually based on their case. But other than that, the rest of these are supposed to be based on their cases. La Yrona, maybe not. But we'll get into that. So, like I said, one time. Based on what you believe, these are based on true stories. Now, jumping into it, we're going to kind of talk about the movies as they came out. We'll talk about the timeline. I'm going to give a brief read of each one of the movies, kind of little, synopsis there, and kind of talk about my thoughts and views on each one, how well I thought they did, and yeah, so on and so forth. But like I said, the third one is coming out this Friday to theaters, and I know a lot of people might not still comfortable or feel comfortable with COVID. It is also coming to HBO Max as well, so you can also pick it up there. I will be watching, and as I said, hopefully turning right back around and doing another review show. Super excited. So, off the bat, for those of you who don't know, the Conjuring series is a big series. It is a horror thriller, if you will. Super good in my opinion. One of the main things that keeps this franchise so high for me is they don't do the traditional jump scares when you think it's going to happen. Like, in this day and age, I grew up on horror movies, so I love horror movies. In this day and age, I think it's really easy to start to predict when the jump scare is going to happen, and I'm not a big fan of that. I like to be surprised. It doesn't happen often. There's not really too many movies out there that like legit scare me. But yeah, if you're into paranormal activity and you're into, the stuff with the Warrens, like the Annabelle doll. Most of you, even if you don't watch paranormal, might have heard about the Annabelle doll. This all takes place with the Annabelle doll as well. Only difference that in the movies, Annabelle's like this porcelain, hideous fucking doll, where in real life it's like this oversized Raggedy Ann doll. But that's completely okay. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump into it now. So the Conjuring universe started, obviously, with the first movie called The Conjuring. That came out July 19, 2013. Then we moved on to Annabelle, which is October 3rd, 2014. The Conjuring 2, June 10th, 2016. Annabelle Creation, August 11th, 2017. The Nun, September 7th, 2018. The Curse of La Yrona, April 19, 2019. And Annabelle Comes Home, which was June 26, 2019. All these movies are found on multiple different streaming. Obviously, you can just pick them all up off of Amazon if you want to go that way. I know Netflix had some. I think Hulu might have had one or two. But yeah, I just went on a binge so that way I could be all nice and caught up again for the Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, out of all of these, once again, for you who don't really care about the paranormal, if you're still watching at this point, The Conjuring 3 is still going to be an interesting movie for everyone because this was an actual real court case and the first time in court where a defense attorney tried to use the term, and that's why the movie is titled this, the devil made my witness or my client do this in court to try to get him off, and it did not work. So but yeah, so very interesting case in my opinion. But yeah, we'll kind of jump into it. Like I said, we're gonna run down through the actual timeline, and I'll go into depth about each movie after I give like the brief synopsis, and then I'll go into my thoughts on all of them. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start out here on the timeline here. All 8 films of the Conjuring universe take place between 1952 and 1981, and we're gonna go ahead and start out with The Nun. So The Nun, this movie is about when a young nun at a abbey in Romania takes her own life. A priest with a haunted past and a novitiate on the threshold of her final vows are sent by the Vatican to investigate. Together, they uncover the order's unholy secret, risking not only their lives but their faith and their very souls. They confront a malevolent force in the form of a demonic nun. Now, The Nun has kind of played throughout the series. Once again, The Nun was released almost near the end of it was released in 2018, almost near the end. So most of the times that she's actually appeared in other movies at this point. I know she appeared in The Conjuring 2 for sure. But yeah, it's kind of been a recurring ghost that they've seen, or a demon, I guess I should say. But yeah, so The Nun, in my opinion, was actually a really, really good one. There's not too... I think there's like really only one movie on this list that I wasn't the biggest fan of. But The Nun was really, really good. I appreciated the darkness of the movie as far as they didn't hold back with the deaths. Once again, the jump scares, they were pretty much just... It wouldn't be what you would expect. They'll have you looking one way and then they'll catch you the other way. The cast did really good. Voice acting was really good. Yeah, I mean, this one was pretty solid. Yeah, it was just a really, really good movie. There's not really too much. I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't like about this movie. I felt like it was all done very well. Like, it was really suspenseful. There were times that things would happen. You'd be like, hold on, wait, what? Yeah, the movie was just a really, really good movie. So I would definitely recommend that if you want to watch the series, do start from the front with The Nun. Don't really pay attention to starting like when the movies came out versus the actual timeline. I would definitely go down the timeline just that way you can kind of get that out. The Devil Made Me Do It is actually going to be at the end of the timeline as well, and I do believe it's going to be the end of the timeline. I know they've talked about making a Tall Man movie and then a Nun 2. I don't know if those are actually going to happen. Or the Crooked Man, not Tall Man. I don't know if those are actually going to happen. But yeah, just overall, The Nun, like I said, was a pretty decent film. Definitely should check it out. The actress that plays the nun, her facial features are super, incredible, and they did a really, really good job of turning her into a very creepy looking demonic nun. So definitely check it out. Super good movie. Well worth the watch. Now let's jump into 1955 with Annabelle Creation. So most of you probably would have thought Annabelle would have came first. She didn't. The Creation did. So The Creation of Annabelle was actually a very interesting movie. Former toy maker Sam Mullins and his wife Esther are happy to welcome a nun and 6 orphaned girls into their California farmhouse. Years earlier, the couple's 7-year-old daughter Annabelle died in a tragic car accident. Terror soon strikes when one child sneaks into a forbidden room and finds a seemingly innocent doll that appears to have a life of its own. This one by far was probably the scariest out of the movies for me, and this is why. So I've talked about the fact that I like the ghost stuff and everything else. I'm not a big fan of the demon stuff. Now what I mean by that is like, I do believe in ghosts. I've said this multiple times on multiple podcasts. I have my own experiences. Once again, if you don't believe that, that's completely fine. I do. So whenever it gets to something that is as evil as a demon, that gets a little like real. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I think it being done in movies is completely fine. It's just whenever you see like other people go out try to attempt it and contact demons and stuff, it's scary business. And I would fucking hate to have to deal with something like that. Yeah, but you see a lot of what the demon who is claiming to be Annabelle. So just to kind of go a little further into this too, once again, these are all spoilers here. So the couple do break down on the side of the road and they're trying to work on the car, and this car is driving up, and as it is, the little girl drops something, or no, I think the dad drops like a piece of the car, and she tries to run to grab it right quick, and she gets hit by the car, the oncoming car. So she dies. And the couple, you don't figure this out until later on in the movie, which was pretty interesting. The couple prayed and prayed and prayed, like, we want to see our baby again, we want to see our baby again. Trying to get anybody they possibly could to, listen. Sooner or later, they started going to more of the darker spot, trying to talk to the devil himself. And they did start to be able to get signs that their daughter was around, whether it was a light flickering on or something getting pushed off a table or moving on a table. Then soon they started to see full-on apparitions of their daughter. In one of the scenes, you see the mother walking in, and she's folding bath towels, I believe, and she's in the bathroom, and she hears the little girl running around and playing. And so she looks up in the mirror, and she sees the little girl peeking around the corner, smiling at her. So the mother just goes on doing, which, once again, let me throw this out there. I don't care. Like, I would not be able to just go about my normal life, even if it is my daughter, knowing that she's dead and a ghost running around the house. That would be so fucking creepy. So fucking creepy. But anyways, moving on. So then she looks back up and she notices in the exact same place where the daughter was, there's now a small little demon there just peeking around the corner at her. So now she knows that it's something different. So now she's starting to get worried. She's starting to get her Bibles out, starting to get her crucifixes out. A little late at this point. But she sees the little girl in the room playing, and she goes in there with a Bible and a cross. The little girl then grows to like 20 feet tall, lanky as shit, and it's this big black demon that just turns around and scratches the shit out of her and fucks up her face, takes out her eye, all kinds of shit. It's insane. So really, really good one out of the series, but because of how often you see the demon, this one was probably, like, if I had to say one was scary to me, this would be the closest one to like being scary. So definitely recommend this one. Definitely at the top of the list. Was a really, really good, solid film. Really great way to show the creation of Annabelle and how the little girl became the demon and the demon became into the doll, and then so on and so forth, leading into the rest of the Conjuring series. All right, next up, we're at 1967 with Annabelle. Yes, the original movie that came out, Annabelle, which was the second one to be released, came out in 1967 in the timeline. And let's go ahead and move right on into it. So we've got Annabelle. John Form thinks he's found the perfect gift for his expected wife, Mia. A vintage doll in a beautiful white dress. However, the couple's delight doesn't last long. One terrible night, devil worshippers invade their home and launch a violent attack against the couple. When the cultists try to summon a demon, they smear a bloody rune on the nursery wall and drip blood into Mia's doll, thereby turning the former object of beauty into a conduit of ultimate evil. Now, the reason why it's important to bring this up. So I guess I should have talked about this at the end of Annabelle Creation. Honestly, I guess I didn't really go too much into what actually happens with the girls. So we'll backtrack a little bit, but we'll stay here on Annabelle. So Annabelle Creation, the little girls that live there, one of them I think is suffering from polio. And she, as we read in the synopsis, goes into a forbidden room. That forbidden room was the little girl's room. Well, she ends up finding a crack in a wall that is another secret door, and the entire room is just didn't mean to hit the mic there. The entire room is just glued up with Bible verses all over the place, and in there is a rocking chair and the Annabelle doll. Now I know what you're thinking, but Chris, they just said they made the doll in this one. Getting there. So she then basically doesn't close the door, so now this doll seal is broken. So the doll starts to, act up, and paranormal activity starts to happen, so on and so forth. The demon is free at this point. Unfortunately for the little girl with polio, she's the one that gets got. And by gets got, she doesn't die, but she is definitely the one that the demon decides that he's going to take over. So once he takes her over, he starts wreaking havoc on everybody. He kills the wife, he kills the husband. I'm pretty sure all the girls and the nun that's watching them survive and get out. But whenever the police show up to find the girl, because they locked her in the room with the Bible verses, they find out that she actually found a way to break out. So she breaks out, leaving the doll behind. And it was like all messed up and stuff like that anyways. So she breaks out. What's interesting is that at the end of that movie, they show her completely healed in a orphanage where she then gets adopted by another couple. That couple lives next door to this couple in Annabelle. So now we're in Annabelle. That couple lives next door to this couple. By the time this couple's having their baby, that other couple's kid is already grown and gone. The devil worshippers that come home is Annabelle. So I can't remember. Well, we could take a quick jump back here. Janice was the girl's name in the movie. Whenever she gets adopted at the orphanage, her name is Annabelle. So that's, obviously setting that up. When she comes back, she kills both her parents. Then they break into the Form's house, and that's when they start wreaking havoc in there. Her and her husband. Now, what's also cool is that they tied this into the oh my god, I forget her name every single time. Is it Sharon Tate? Yes, the Sharon Tate murders. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Sharon Tate murders are, I strongly suggest you look it up. It's a very interesting story. I know Quentin Tarantino just did his take on it with that movie. God, I'm so bad at remembering some of this stuff, especially right here on the spot. He did a movie about it where he did his own take on kind of how it would have happened. It was like what was the name of the freaking movie? Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he's got that going on, which is pretty interesting. There's plenty of different documentaries and stuff that you can read about it. It was actually a really interesting story. It all leads around the House of Mason and stuff like that. Definitely should check it out if you're into this kind of stuff. But yeah, they kind of link it up with that. They break into the couple's home. They did the whole ward on the wall, which was transferring the demon into the doll because they saw the doll, and it just so happened to be a replica of the old Annabelle doll. obviously called out to it. So the demon transferred itself into the doll, and then moving forward, the demon then started to use the doll to try to get the baby that was born, Mia's baby, because demons want baby souls, so that way they can have a full body to grow into, all that other shit. They need a host. And so the whole movie is about how Mia is experiencing these paranormal activities, and her husband is constantly having to work because he's a doctor. They get a preacher involved, and all this other stuff. It's actually a really, really solid film. Really, really good one. A lot of stuff happens that you're like, holy shit, wow, that blows your mind. Especially the end. You don't see that necessarily coming right off the bat. The movie was just a really, really good one. Strongly suggest watching it. This was one of the first ones to come out, I think, whenever they were actually released. I think it was The Conjuring, and then Annabelle was right afterwards. Yeah, 2013 was The Conjuring, 2014 was Annabelle. So definitely would go check Annabelle out. Really, really good. Just kind of shows, the terror that can happen whenever, a demon is trying to get a baby's soul. Because in the movie they explained about how a demon can't just take a baby. They have to have the baby offered to them. So it's all about driving the parent mad to the point where the parent's like, okay, fuck it, I'm done. And that's what it's trying to do with this doll. So a lot of really, really interesting situations that happen. A lot of really tense moments that you think might happen and then don't happen. Because once again, Conjuring series is really good at doing that. Which, like I said, I appreciate. But we can go ahead and move on into the next one. All right, now we're coming into the first movie to be released, which was The Conjuring. And in the timeline, this takes place in 1971. The Conjuring. So this one has a strong Ed and Lorraine presence for the Warrens, who were played by Vera Farmiga, I think is how you say her last name. Super good actress. Love her in this movie. And Patrick Wilson. I'm a big Patrick Wilson fan. Love him too. But yeah, definitely one to check out. This is the very first one that they ever released back in 2013. We have in 1970, paranormal investigators and demonologist Lorraine and Ed Warren are summoned to the home of Carolyn and Roger Perrin. The Perrins and their 5 daughters have recently moved into a secluded farmhouse where a supernatural presence has made itself known. Though the manifestations are relatively benign at first, events soon escalate into horrifying fashion, especially after the Warrens discover the house's history. Now, that being said, like I said, movie, very good, very solid movie. Enjoyed it a lot. Once again, these movies are based, besides The Nun, these movies are based off of actual paranormal investigations that Ed and Lorraine went and did. So this is having the minute. It's pretty awesome. They weren't in the creation of Annabelle. They were barely in Annabelle, but they are definitely in the third Annabelle, which is Annabelle Comes Home. So, and how they end up getting their hands on her. So, with this one, it is a family that moves into a farmhouse. Ed and Lorraine are called due to the fact that there's like a lot of paranormal activity going on. I think at this current time, they're doing like a lot of different on the road, lectures and stuff like that to young people who are getting into paranormal and different things. They end up, the wife being basically on her last leg, ends up going out to one of these to try to get answers, sees Ed and Lorraine and knows that they're famous and asks them to come to the house. They get a whole group together, they come to the house, and they're trying to do, what they can to try to help bring some ease to this family. They just didn't understand how much they were going to be dealing with. And that is where the problem comes in, because this house used to belong to a witch who cursed the land and hung herself. And the tree that she hung herself on is still there on the property. Not to mention, I think her remains were also, or something that was close to her, was also still in the house. Therefore, that is always I think her son was also a ghost in the house too. It's been a little bit since I watched this one. But, yeah, definitely should check this out. It's about them trying to get the witch sooner or later possesses the mother and wants the mother to go and kill the kids. So they have to try to save the kids and save the mother and do a full-on exorcist, which Ed is not properly ordained for, but because of his, working with the church and the priests and so long, he attempts to pull one off and manages to do so. So once again, that is The Conjuring. Okay, and in 1972, we've got Annabelle Comes Home. This one was a pretty good one. This one, I think, was the last one released recently in 2019. Obviously, before The Devil Made Me Do It's about to come out here in 2021. So, Annabelle Comes Home. Determined to keep Annabelle from wreaking more havoc, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren locked the possessed doll in the artifacts room in their house, which is fucking crazy, by the way. They have an entire artifacts room in their house that has nothing but all these demonic possessed items just in their house. No, wouldn't happen. But when the doll awakens the room's evil spirits, it soon becomes an unholy night of terror for the couple's 10-year-old daughter, her friends, and their young babysitter. So, that being said, Annabelle Comes Home. It kind of takes place right off of Annabelle, where Ed and Lorraine are taking the doll away from a young nursing group. Now, this is kind of like where you can kind of first see any kind of actual history of the doll. Is that a pair of nurses going through med school moved and got an apartment together, and one of their grandmothers mother got them the original Annabelle doll. Once again, like I said, it was a Raggedy Ann doll, not this creepy ass porcelain doll in the movie, and sent it to him as a gift. Strange things started happening. They started seeing like notes all over the place saying like, come play with me, or help me, or find me, stuff like that. And they gave the doll basically like its own room, if you will, just to kind of keep it at peace. And it started getting more and more violent, throwing stuff over, breaking doors, slamming doors, turning on and off lights, and then finally getting to the point where it was physically attacking. So that led to them looking for help. Ed and Lorraine showed up and basically deemed that the doll was possessed and said that they were going to take it with them. So they took the doll. In the movie, the doll shows off that it's kind of a conduit for other souls, because it forces the car to break down in front of a funeral. And for those of you who don't know, Lorraine is also a psychic, or not psychic, I would say a clairvoyant. There you go, clairvoyant, that's a better word. She's a clairvoyant, so she can see souls and stuff like that. So she looks over and she starts to see like all these ghosts that are basically coming towards the Annabelle doll. She knows that's speaking. She's like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, let's roll. So they get home. They lock it up in this case, which I didn't know this at first until after I did some research on it. But the case itself that the Annabelle doll is currently still in is made out of chapel glass from a decommissioned church, which I thought was very, very interesting. So that way, this is like supposed to be like the holiest of holiest places to keep this thing. So that way it's presence and spirit and power cannot be used to do any harm. They've got plenty of stories about people, because they used to have a museum, because unfortunately at this point Lorraine and Ed are both no longer with us, but they have a museum that people can go tour, and I think that the museum is no longer open to the public now that the daughter owns it. I can't remember what she plans on doing with the museum, but I do know that I think regardless what happens, she's going to keep the Annabelle doll. But yeah, they have stories about how people would come in, mock the Annabelle doll, beat on the glass, so-and-so, and then within hours, something bad would happen to them, and most likely leading up to fatal. So yeah, it's definitely a very interesting movie to look into. But yeah, so we have... in this one, they bring it all the way to the house. They have to go on a mission. It's the daughter, or a mission. They have to go on an investigation. It's the daughter's birthday, and the babysitter's trying to make it good. The babysitter has a friend who accidentally got her dad killed in a car accident because she was the one that was driving. So she wants to be able to talk to her dad one more time and knows that there is some kind of object in their room that allows people to talk to the dead. So she wants to use that, not knowing that all these objects down there are cursed. There's always a huge negative to the positive aspect on this one. So she ends up releasing Annabelle on accident. And, well, I think she does it on purpose and then puts her back in her cage and then forgets to lock it and then release her on accident. And now Annabelle's just going all over the house and terrorizing not only Lorraine and Ed's 10-year-old daughter, which is their only child, but on top of that, the babysitter and then obviously the chick herself. This movie by far had some of the best visual components, especially with the CGI. There's this one particular scene that I liked a lot where the little girl is in her room asleep and then like all of a sudden she feels something and she opens up or she lifts up her covers and the Annabelle doll is in the bed under the covers down by her legs. And then she like takes a closer look and all of a sudden you see like the actual Annabelle girl come flying out as a child, come flying out at her, and she like, you know, throws the cover and gets up real quick and it knocks off her light. The light that she has does this like wheel projector spin, if you will. And there's 4 different slots. Each slot is a different color. So I think it was blue, green, yellow, and then red. And so with blue, it showed the doll. Then green, it showed the child. And then whenever it turned, and this is showing it on the wall, so there's a shadow casting from every time it switches to another color, it turns. Like it just morphs. So it goes from the doll to the little girl to her as an adult whenever she killed her parents, which we remember what we were all talking about. So this is technically a different girl, which would have been Janice. And then when it turns red, it shows the demon. And then she starts to freak out and it flips back over to her and the demon's on the bed with her and just starts screaming in her face. Such a good scene. Oh my gosh, got me really good. Didn't scare me, but I was just like, holy shit. Like, that was really cool how they fucking did that. So, definitely recommend checking this one out. Was super, super good. There was a lot of different components going on because you had multiple people who were trying to deal with this, and the doll was dealing with them in multiple different ways. The stuff that was going on with the chick downstairs, the one that let them off, let her free. She was locked into the trinket room, and there was stuff going on with her that was pretty interesting and shit too. Of course, obviously the babysitter had shit going on, and I think there was a guy that was in love with the babysitter who also had shit going on as well outside, like some werewolf that was chasing him and shit like that. So it was really good, really well done. Definitely enjoyed this movie a lot, so definitely go check that one out. Okay, and here we are at the Curse of La Yrona. So, this one probably is the stinker to me. I did not find this one anywhere near as entertaining as the others. It was still a good watch as far as watching these all as a series. I don't really think this one had too much to actually do with the Warrens. It just seems really weird and just thrown in here. Like, even the nun kind of made sense, but this has nothing to do with, like, connection to Annabelle or connection to anything else. So this one was kind of a stinker to me. I really didn't care for this one too much. But it was, like I said, it was still worth the watch just to get it done and say that I've got all of it. Because it turned from, like, you know, a haunting into, like, this priest who apparently is, like, a fucking badass. And it got weird. It got weird for me. But the Curse of La Yrona is about a woman who drowned both of her children and then died due to sorrow of the fact that she killed both of her children. I think like her husband cheated on her or something like that. She went to Great Depression. And so now what she does is she goes around crying as a ghost and tries to get children to approach her. If children approach her, she then marks them, and she will not stop until she gets a chance to then drown that child. Because she feels that all the children that are alive are her children, so she feels that they must be drowned. So yeah, this takes place, like I said, in 1973. We can go ahead and give the quick lowdown. In 1970s Los Angeles, the legendary ghost La Yrona is stalking the night and the children. Ignoring the eerie warning of a troubled mother, a social worker and her own kids are drawn into a frightening supernatural realm. Their only hope of surviving La Llorona's deadly wrath is a disillusioned priest who practices mysticism to keep evil at bay. So yeah, like I said, this one kind of got pretty out there, but nonetheless, like I said, still worth the watch. Yeah, there's really not too much to say to this one. It was interesting, but I didn't really care for it. Definitely pretty low on my radar. Like I said, just feels like it was just forced, just thrown into the series. I really don't know how much it actually ties in with anything else. And yeah, I didn't really feel like it was all really done that well, which is unfortunate because every other one of these were a really, 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 really good one. But yeah, there's that one. So the Curse of La Yrona, unfortunately, like I said, pretty low on my list. And in 1977, we have the last but not least, The Conjuring 2, until 1981 when we'll have The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, coming out this Friday. I feel like I'm doing like an ad for that. I should be getting paid. Anyways, so The Conjuring 2 is another one where you're going to see a lot of Ed and Lorraine. So The Conjuring 2 is in 1977. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren come out of a self-imposed sabbatical to travel to Enfield, a borough in North London. They meet Peggy Hodgson, an overwhelmed single mother of 4 who tells the couple that there is something evil in her home. Ed and Lorraine believed her story when the youngest daughter starts to show signs of demonic possession. As the Warrens try to help the besieged girl, they become the next targets of the malicious spirit. This one was really good. Very interesting. It is based over in London, so the scenery and all that's kind of different, which was a nice taste. The way they did this movie was really well done because the little girl is possessed by the old guy. The old guy wants to kill her family, right? He does not want them in the house. Technically, it's not the old guy. It's actually the nun, the demon who's forcing the old guy's spirit to stay there and do this. This is another chance when we see the nun outside of the Nun movie. Once again, remember, this came before the Nun, and then they went back and did the Nun. But, anyways, you'll also see another demonic figure, which I also had on the thumbnail. It was the one to the left. That is the Crooked Man. And they plan on doing a solo movie on him, which would be awesome because that ghost looked really fucking cool. And I would like to see more about that and get hopefully like a whole story about that actually being a person, kind of like how we did with the Nun. Yeah, but this one was done really well because one of the most compelling parts about this one for me, which I thought was really awesome, was they have this situation where the girl gets separated from everybody. She's in the kitchen. And whenever she gets that door open, that fucking kitchen is wrecked. Like, it is fucking crazy. And they're like, oh my God, this is nuts. Well, they had a camera rolling in there. And the little girl didn't know that. And the camera shows that, because they're trying to get an exorcism, and they have to get okay from the Vatican, But the Vatican's very big on people trying to fake this stuff for publicity and everything else, especially with what, Ed and Lorraine do for a living. And they have a camera rolling, and on the camera, it actually shows the little girl wrecking the kitchen. So then they're ready to pack things up and just leave, right? it wasn't until later when they're listening to a recording that I believe they hear the old man is basically like they're just like rehashing some of the audio recordings they got whenever the old man was possessing the little girl, talking to the little girl, about how it's like something else is keeping him there. So, which makes Ed and Lorraine, which makes Ed and Lorraine know that there's definitely something else at play here. So the demon basically told the little girl, if you don't fake this, like if you don't go in there and start smashing the shit, I'm going to kill your family. So she did that. Ed and Lorraine then get the smarts about them to go back, and that's whenever they have to face off against the nun. And Lorraine, who had already had a previous vision, which is what led to that, sabbatical that they were taking, about how Ed was going to die due to this demon, this specific demon. And as she was having this kind of like clairvoyant daydream, nap, if you will, I don't know what the fuck you want to call it, trance, there we go. She was like, she had a Bible and she was carving something into like pages into this Bible. And what she was carving in, which she doesn't remember until the end of the movie, is that she was carving in the demon's name. Now, the reason why is because if you say a demon's name, it's supposed to take away its power. Now, once again, I don't mess with any demon shit whatsoever. Then not at all. So if you're watching this and you like to do Ouija boards and shit like that, do not take my word on any of this shit. I do not mess with demon shit. I don't do none of that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. And I'm never going to fucking find out. Anyways. So they use that to then stop the demon and, end up saving Ed and the little girl from dying. Oh, man. Whew. It's been a long, long day, folks. So, that being said, that kind of wraps up the Conjuring 2 there. Once again, we have the entire rundown. We had The Nun, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle, The Conjuring, Annabelle Comes Home, The Curse of La Yrona, The Conjuring 2, and then finally The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm not going to go into conversation about that movie here because I want to save it for the review show where I will go into full spoiler territory. It'll be fresh on my mind. I'll be able to just knock it out and get another one up, and then that will close out the entire timeline of the Conjuring series. If they do those spinoffs, I'll come back for those as well. We'll have to wait and see. They've been rumored. No one's actually said that they're going to for sure be done yet. But, so that's the Conjuring series. Once again, going through, I rate most of these pretty high. Curse of La Yrona is the only one I really didn't care for. I strongly suggest watching all of them, and I suggest watching them in the order of the timeline, not the order they released, to get caught up for the third one that's coming out. Other than that, it's a good scary horror movie flick / series. Very interesting, especially whenever you are into that paranormal world. So definitely go check it out. But we're going to go ahead and end this episode here. So if you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Also turn on the notification. That way you get notified next time we upload another video. Especially if you liked it. So that way you can hear my thoughts on The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Make sure you hit us in the comments section below and let me know your thoughts and views. If you rated any of these movies, what your ratings were, which one you thought was the stinker out of the group, which one was your favorite. I guess if I had to choose a favorite, it would probably be Annabelle Comes Home. It's kind of tough between Annabelle Comes Home and Annabelle Creation. Those are both really, really good. I like the Annabelle stuff. But probably Annabelle Comes Home. So, that would probably be my top. So definitely make sure that you, like I said, hit me in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts and views. If you're going to go see The Devil Made Me Do It, once again, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It comes out this Friday. I know COVID is still a thing. I know some people worry about going out. Maybe you got a vaccine, maybe you didn't. I don't know. I'm not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about is the fact that the movie comes out Friday, and I'm going to watch it. It also comes out on HBO Max. So if you would like to watch it from the comfort of your own home, you can. And that's what I will be doing. So make sure you check that out and come chat with me about that on next week's episode, whenever I talk about that movie, and we'll go into full spoiler territory then. We also have Twitter links and Twitch links in the or down there in the description below as well. But if you want to support us, like I said, like, subscribe. Biggest thing you can do, comment. That is the biggest way to support us. That helps us out so much, just mentally and everything else, being able to have conversations with you guys. We like the interaction. We like to have conversations with you and enjoy those conversations. So make sure that you comment down there. Also, we have a merch link. You should check it out. We got some pretty cool shit there. Definitely been selling some Dead Funny shirts, so I do appreciate all of you that have been buying those up. They're fucking awesome. You should check them out and get your Dead Funny shirt. We have the premium shirt. We have the normal shirt. We got some hoodies on there. We got some leggings on there. We're going to get some more stuff on there. That store is going to keep developing with more and more stuff, especially whenever different seasons come out. I don't think we can do Dead Funny swimming trunks or bathing suits yet, but around the winter, we already have the hoodies up. We can get some Dead Funny beanies rocking. That'd be pretty cool too, right? Maybe some Dead Funny scarves. They have them at that point. I don't know. We're at the hands of that website, so we'll see what happens. But our store is on Teespring, so click that link, go over there, check out the website, check out the store, show us some love over there if you want to. Once again, if you want to, more than appreciated, but if you want to. Yeah, and maybe I should do like a video of that, and I kind of just like give a brief show of what the store looks like. Yeah, that would be smart, right? Anyways, but at the end of all this, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.